Today, I'm going to be talking about Pokemon relationships. No, not like that. What I mean is biological relationships. How different species interact with each other, like how some species of spider team up with some species of frogs to protect their eggs from animals like ants, while the frog gets protection from the spider. Both of these species have a mutual relationship, and many examples like this exist in the Pokemon world. I am not going to be covering famous examples like Slowbro and Shelder, or Carablast and Shelmet, because I want to be a little bit more interesting. Also, don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let me know whose relationship is the most interesting to you. Anyways, your Pokemon biology lesson is a go. For our first example, let's discuss the relationship Oranguru and Slowking have with each other by reading a Pokedex entry of Oranguru's. Oranguru's Moon Pokedex entry states, "Deep in the jungle, high in the lofty canopy, this Pokemon abides. On rare occasions, it shows up at the beach to match wits with Slowking." If you want to know how these Battle of Wits turn out, we can actually turn to Slowking's Pokemon Ultra Moon Pokedex entry. It's called the Sage of the Sea. It engages in battles of wits with Oranguru, but the result is usually a draw. In Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's Pokedex picture for Oranguru, we can actually see the two of them duking it out on the beach, and I think that's a neat little detail that they added in. Some of Oranguru's other Pokedex entries state that people used to mistake Oranguru for a human in the past, since it was observed giving commands to another Pokemon. This also means that Oranguru has the intellect of a scientist at minimum, as Slowking's Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum entries state that Slowking has an IQ comparable to award-winning scientists. Speaking of intelligent Pokemon, we have Tinkaton from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Her Scarlet entry states, "This intelligent Pokemon has a very daring disposition. It knocks rocks into the sky with its hammer, aiming for flying Corviknight." We also know Corviknight was the taxi Pokemon in the Galar region because of its high intellect, but they can't be used as a taxi service in Paldea, as their Scarlet entry states, "Corviknight can't serve as the taxi service in Paldea because the Pokemon's natural predators will attack it while it flies, endangering the customer." Since we know Tinkaton actively tries attacking Corviknight, we can assume she is one of the Pokemon that prevent Corviknight from being used as a taxi. While we're on the same family line, we can look at Tinkatuff, whose Scarlet entry states, "This Pokemon will attack groups of Pawniard and Bisharp, gathering metal from them in order to create a large and sturdy hammer." Now you have to ask yourself, this tiny little scrappy little Pokemon not only engages in battle against groups of Pawniard led by a Bisharp, but actively wins these confrontations? I'd say they earn their spectacular hammers. Pokemon, like animals of the real world, have to eat, so we have a system of predators and prey in the Pokemon world. Pidgeotto and Pidgeot have two known prey that they hunt for, Execute and Magikarp, and in Pidgeot's case, this was established all the way back in Pokemon Red and Blue, making it one of the first confirmed relationships between two different species of Pokemon. That entry reads, "When hunting, it skims the surface of water at high speeds to pick off unwary prey such as Magikarp." The Pokedex entry that establishes the relationship with Execute is in Pidgeotto's Pokedex entry from Pokemon Fire Red. It reads, "The claws on its feet are well developed. It can carry prey such as an Execute to its nest over 60 miles away." Marini has a very interesting predatory relationship with Corsola. Corsola is constantly preyed on by Marini, and the Corsola in the Alola region have developed the ability to detach their branches in order to distract them and escape. This is actually something some animals do, such as octopuses, lizards, and starfish who detach a part of themselves to escape prey, and they can regrow these parts. Their relationship is quite different in the Galar region since the Corsola here isn't preyed upon. Marini's shield entry states that they don't know what Corsola tastes like since all of the Corsola here are dead. In Paldea, Marini doesn't have the opportunity to hunt for Corsola, so they have to resort to trying to hunt other Pokemon along the coastline, especially Pincurchin, but they keep getting shocked by trying to eat them, meaning they will have to use other means of hunting to successfully capture them. Drapion, the Pokemon that is known as the Ogre Scorpion to some, or the Sand Demon by others, is a very deadly apex predator wherever it lives. However, there is one species of Pokemon that it never engages in battle with. This Pokemon is simply known as the heavyweight Pokemon and a walking tank of the desert, Hippowdon, and this information was revealed in Pokemon Shield. Hippowdon is a Pokemon that is capable of opening its mouth to a length of over 7 feet long according to its Pearl Dex entry. This is the same height as Shaquille O'Neal. Hippos in real life are only able to open up their mouths up to around 4 feet long, which alone is about the same size as a Drapion, who is on average 4'3", meaning a Drapion will most likely get killed if a Hippowdon decides it doesn't want this ogre scorpion walking around its territory. Sometimes, different animals that have overlapping territories will fight for food, and some Pokemon do too. Garchomp is a Pokemon that is capable of flight if it folds its body into a jet-like pose, and it uses its incredible speed to quickly acquire food. However, it often clashes with another pseudo-legendary dragon Pokemon in disguise for food, this being Salamence. According to Garchomp's Ultra Sun entry, it states, "It flies at the speed of sound while searching for prey, and it has mid-air battles with Salamence as the two compete for food." These battles you would have to imagine are quite intense, and you would have to ask yourself, how do airlines function properly with these Pokemon getting into squabbles like these? Generation 9 introduced the idea of convergent species into the Pokemon world, whereby two completely independent species evolved to have similar characteristics, such as dolphins having a similar body shape to an ichthyosaur in the real world. Wiglet and Toedscool were once thought to be regional forms of Diglett and Tentacool, however, they turned out to be more distantly related than originally thought. Pokemon Violet's entry for Wiglet states, "Though it looks like a Diglett, Wiglet is an entirely different species. The resemblance seems to be a coincidental result of environmental adaptation." Toedscool's Violet entry also states, "Though it looks like Tentacool, Toedscool is an entirely different species. Its legs may be thin, but it can run at the speed of 30 miles per hour." Wiglet and Wugtrio are garden eels, and Toedscool and Toedscruel are based on wood ears, a type of fungi. They are also known as tree jellyfish. This is also interesting because as far as we know, Tentacool doesn't live in Paldea, but Toedscool does. Some species are able to actively coexist with each other in harmony. Delmise and the Scrub family are known to coexist with each other. In Dragology's Ultra Sun Pokedex entry, it states, "This vicious Pokemon sprays a poisonous liquid on opponents that come near." For whatever reason, it gets along very well with Delmise. Delmise's Ultra Moon entry further confirms their harmonic coexistence. Its chain-like green seaweed can stretch outward for hundreds of yards. For some reason, it gets along well with Squirrel. While we don't have the best idea of why these two coexist so well, it could be theorized that they both work together to catch the same prey, especially larger species such as Wailord. This last Pokemon relationship in this video involves a ragtag group of legendary Pokemon. These are the forces of nature. Tornadus whips up powerful windstorms that destroy farms. Thundurus causes never-ending thunderstorms. Landorus brings harvest, and Enamorus signals the end of winter. While Enamorus doesn't have an explicit connection to the other three in the Pokedex, we can infer from its Therian form that it tends to clash with both Tornadus and Thundurus because of their destructive nature. That entry states, "A different guise from its feminine humanoid form. From the clouds, it descends upon those who treat any form of life with disrespect and metes out wrathful, ruthless punishment." Tornadus and Thundurus often clash with each other in the sky, and because of these constant clashes, Landorus has to constantly break up their fighting in order to stop them from destroying everything in sight. Legends Arceus' Dex entry for Landorus' incarnate form states, "When the incarnations of wind and of lightning clash, Landorus arrives to quell the conflict. After the tempests and thunderbolts abate, the land is sure to be blessed with bountiful harvests." So those were just some interesting biological relationships that exist in the Pokemon world. I want to know, who do you think has an interesting relationship like this in the Pokemon world? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a like on it, and maybe even subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. With that said, I hope you have a wonderful day.